Everyone, Sam Evans here, and welcome to the Consulting Accelerator Program, Week 1, Video 1. And this is an important video because we're going to talk about setting your foundations. And, just like when you're building a house, if you build a really awesome house, but you don't build it on very good foundations, the house is going to fall over. And the same is true with your life and your business. You can't build an awesome life on bad foundations, nor can you build an awesome business on poor foundations. And you're fooling yourself if you think you can, because it might only take a piece of straw, and one day it's just going to break the whole thing down. And it's so important that you get your foundations right, and that you make sure that they're in check all the time, and you make sure that everything is built solid. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in Week 1. The overarching theme for all of our training in Week 1 is fundamentals and foundations. So we're going to be teaching you, the fundamental laws of nature, the fundamental laws of nature in business, and we're also going to be teaching you, how this program works, and then how the mechanics of consulting work, and not just classical consulting, but this new consulting which I have created and invented, which is the new age of consulting. So I'm going to show you exactly how that works, how to think about everything, and how you're going to actually go about creating your own consulting business, whether that's from scratch or whether you're going to completely reshape and reform the consulting business that you already have. So what's really important is throughout this training, you want to keep an open mind. All the stuff I'm going to be talking to you about in this program, it hasn't really been discussed by anyone else in any other training. So, you're going to be hearing totally new things, totally new concepts and ideas, new ways of thinking, and you just need to embrace that. The things that you already know, if you were to just go and do more of them, then you would just have more of what you've already got right now. And, everyone I know is coming into this program because they want change, and they want massive improvements. They don't just want incremental improvements, they want massive earth-shaking improvements. And in order to do that, we need to totally shake everything up. And so it's very important that you keep an open mind the whole time. So with that being said, let's dive right in and get started with this module today, which is setting your foundations. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to start off with some general housekeeping and how to get the most out of this program. And then we're going to talk about important things to remember going into this training and the biggest period of change in your life. And, what that's going to look like, why it's important, and, how to keep everything in check throughout this period of change. Then we're going to talk about an overview of what this program is all about and what we're going to cover. So I'm going to give you the 30,000-foot view of how this is going to work. Over the next 6-7 weeks, what are we going to cover, in what sort of order, and what to expect. We're also going to talk about your foundations and why the success of your business structurally depends on them. So foundations aren't just, a nice to have. They're essential, because if you don't have them in the long term, you're not going to have a business. So fundamental. And I'm also going to show you the raw math of consulting and achieving your goals. So we're going to break it right down. We're going to show you how many calls you need to have, what closing ratio you need to be closing at, and we're really just going to break everything down into raw maths and raw numbers and show you what is required to achieve your goals, regardless of how wild those goals are. So that's what we're going to cover. Now, some general housekeeping. So this program is designed to be completed over 6 weeks. So you'll notice that I've broken the program out into 6 different modules, 6 different categories, Week 1, Week 2, all the way through to Week 6. And then within each category, there is a number of different training modules. So categories are the weeks and modules are the things within the weeks. Now, I designed this program to be completed over 6 weeks, which means you do 1 week today, then you do another week the next week, and so on and so forth like that. However, that's not to say that you have to do it that way. You do have lifetime access to this training material, and you can work at whatever pace you want. So, if you've got a really, if you've just had a child and you're working a massive job and you're renovating your house, obviously you probably won't be able to work at the same pace that other people can. So, don't take it as it must be done in 6 weeks. I mean, you could take up to a year if you wanted to. I just recommend 6 weeks, and I'm sure you can just figure out what schedule is going to work best for you as well, but don't stress about that. And each week you should watch the videos in order, take action, complete the weekly action items, and then join the conversation over in the Facebook group. So each week we're going to release the modules to you, and it's really important that you do them in sequential order. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, go one step after the other. It is designed in that way for a reason. I just didn't grab a whole bunch of content and just juggle it all around and throw it into some different places. I have engineered this thing to be completed in a sequential process. And if you skip a step or if you muddle the steps up, it isn't going to work. And I know that you're here because you want results, you want change, and you don't just want to listen to my voice all day. So if you want change and you want results, and if you don't just want to listen to my voice, then you must do all of the training in the sequential order which I've laid it out for you as. And then I'm going to show you how to join the Facebook group and how the Facebook group works. And you definitely want to join the Facebook group right now. To do that, you go to consulting.com/FB group. Consulting.com/FB group. Go there right now, click request access, and someone will approve you within 24 hours so that you can get in there and join the community. Now, we have some rules for our Facebook group. And I've been building this group for like 4 or 5 years, from when it was just me and a couple of other people, all the way through to now, and where we've got thousands of members. And when we've got a community with so many different people who are at different stages, we've got people who are just joining, who are brand new to business and consulting, and then we've got people in there who are making 8 figures with consulting. We must have more than 50 people in there who are millionaires. We've got a big mixture of people, all ages, all niches, all around the world, different cultures, different everything. And, it's really important that we have some ground rules so that this Facebook group can work well and it can really serve everyone. So here are those rules, and these are vitally important, so you want to make sure that you pay close attention to these. Number 1, no promotions. So don't promote your own stuff in there. Don't put a link in there to your webinar. Don't put a link in there to a landing page with an opt-in. Don't promote your own blog posts or anything in there. And don't promote anyone else's stuff in there either. Just plain, simple, no promotions. Then no complaining or negativity of any kind. So, we want to keep this a really upbeat, positive place. We want people to be, excited. We want people to be positive, and we don't want anyone in there who's negative. So if you write a negative comment in the Facebook group, we will delete it immediately, because I have people monitoring the Facebook group 24/7. So we'll delete it immediately, and we'll ban you from the group. And we don't give any warnings for banning anyone. If someone breaks any of the rules, we just ban them. And so that's how it works. It's real simple. So don't complain or put any negativity in the group of any kind. If you have a complaint that you want to make, then that's totally fine. Just email support@consulting.com, and one of my customer support people will look after you. But there is no complaining or negativity to be in the Facebook group. And then seek to help others before asking for help yourself. Now, this is a good rule in business and in life in general, is, if you want to get help from other people, then you should seek to, first of all, give help to other people. So, don't just go into the group and then start asking all these questions and demanding all these people help you. Jump into the group first, see, look at the conversations that are sort of evolving in there, see where you can jump in and help, and if you can, go ahead and do it. And always be looking to serve others, because then when you need help, others will be willing to serve you. And if you break these rules, you will be banned from the group immediately, without notice or without warning. So, I'm just setting that standard right here, right now. So please make sure that you remember these and abide by them. And we have a very strict zero tolerance policy, and staff policing the community to ensure it all runs smoothly. Now, how to get help and support? Well, first of all, I noticed that a lot of people ask questions that are just blatantly covered in the training. So make sure you're not one of those people. You know, if you say, how do I do Facebook ads? I mean, there's a whole module in the course that shows you how to do Facebook ads. And obviously, we're just going to tell you to go and do that. So don't be that person who asks questions like that. You know, first things first, you want to make sure that you've watched all of the training videos and done all of the work. Because most questions, I can assure you, most questions you're going to have, they're covered in the training. So that's number one. Step two is if you've gone through the training, you can't find the answer, then try searching for the answer using our very powerful Consulting Hive Mind search feature. So this is a custom platform that I had developers build, and what you can do is you'll see a magnifying glass up the top right-hand corner of the screen. If you click on that, it pops up a search function, which we call the Consulting Hive Mind. And what this does is it searches through all of the training. So it searches for words said within any of the videos, and it also searches through Q&A call recordings it searches through thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of archived content which we have. So the Hive Mind feature search feature can be extremely useful when you're trying to solve a question. But all you have to do is define. You have to define the question, and you should be able to find the answer using the Hive Mind feature. And if you have, so right now you have access to the Consulting Accelerator program, which is the first stage of evolution for this new world of consulting that I've created. And if you've just got access to Accelerator, when you use the search feature, you'll only be able to see Accelerator. And then if you have access to Up-Level and the Quantum Level Mastermind, when you use that search feature, you'll be searching all three products and all three programs at the same time. So that's how that one works. And the third thing, if you can't use one or two to solve your question, ask your question in the Facebook group, and one of our expert coaches or community members will help. So, this Facebook group, it's extremely valuable. A lot of people say it's worth more than the cost of admission into this program alone, and I'm sure you're going to agree with them once you jump in there. So make sure you join right now. It's consulting.com/FB group. Jump in there and request access, and ask questions in there. Join the conversation. Help other people. It's going to become one of your most invaluable resources and assets that you have in your business and your life. Trust me. And then number 4. So you can attend one of our 2 times weekly Q&A calls, which are hosted by some of my most successful students. So these calls happen every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern and every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And Eastern is New York time. So if you're in another country or another time zone, you can just Google what time in New York or what's the time in New York, and Google will tell you. And so you just want to think, when is 7 p.m. Eastern on a Monday in my time zone, and when is 12 p.m. on Friday Eastern time, like what's that in my time zone? Figure out what those times are now so you know when the calls are going to be happening. Now, to register for and attend the calls, you can go to the Facebook group. So make sure you join our Facebook group. It is consulting.com/FB group. Go there right now, register, and then you can just click on the events tab up the top of the screen, and then you will be able to see the upcoming events. So that is how you join the group. Now, if you do all of those things and you can't get the help you're looking for, if you can't solve your question, then you want to go to number 5, which is try searching our Customer Help Center, which has FAQs, help articles, and solutions to common problems. So, your question, chances are a lot of other people have had that question too. And what we will have done is created documentation and a tutorial which walks you through exactly how to solve it yourself. So make sure you go there. Now, to get to our help center, you can just go to support.consulting.com. or you can hover on top of the help icon up the top of the screen, which talks about just says help. You can go up there and then select the customer help center, and you'll be able to go in there and get any help you need. You can also submit a support ticket to my team. So I have a full-time team of people who are highly paid support professionals, and they're helping me, and they're helping every customer in my community. And so if you need help with anything that you can't solve using questions 1 to 5, then just submit an email to support@consulting.com, and one of my friendly support staff will help you out there. So that is how you can get help and support. And it's very important that you remember this. Go through steps 1 to 5 before you send an email, because a lot of the time people ask questions via email that they could have just solved themselves in 5 seconds if they followed these instructions. Now, here's some important things to remember going into this training. So first of all, there are no magic pills or flavors of the week in this program. So this program teaches you the fundamentals of business, consulting, and mastering your mind. We're not teaching any gimmicks in here. I'm not teaching you some loophole I found in the law which enables you to exploit some rare opportunity for a limited amount of time until someone smartens up and removes that loophole. I'm not telling you some hack I found on the internet to press this button that just starts making money. I'm not showing you how to do any of those things. Nothing we're doing here is a gimmick or a flavor of the week or a magic pill. What I'm actually teaching you to do here is I'm teaching you the fundamentals of business. Like, I'm teaching you how to think like a millionaire or a billionaire. And I'm also showing you how to master this new age of consulting, which is happening right now. So, the world's changing a lot, and we're moving into this new period. And the systems and everything and the way of thinking which I've created for consulting, they're leading right now, and they're beating the traditional way. So by learning how this new world of consulting works, you're going to be able to be at the forefront of that, and you're going to be one of the leading people who is pioneering this new way of consulting. So I'm teaching you exactly how that works. And the cool thing about this is that these are going to last you a lifetime. Like, the lessons you learn in here about business and about consulting and about mastering your own mind, these are going to last you for the rest of your life, and you're going to be collecting dividends on this for every year for the rest of your life. So that's the cool thing about doing things properly. Now, this program requires you to put in the work, and some of it will challenge you and push you outside of your comfort zone. Coming into a program that's promising to completely change your life around and help you achieve your wildest dreams, it's not going to be easy. You're not just going to sit down on your couch with a bag of popcorn and just start tapping on your keyboard and then it's going to happen. It's going to push you outside of your comfort zone. It's going to challenge you, and it's going to make you question things which you've believed for a long time. And whenever someone goes into a state like this, it's a good thing. It means that things are changing. It means that you're growing as a person mentally. And, it means that your business is growing too. So it's important to understand that you will feel uncomfortable at times. And that's essential if you want change and if you want growth. So you've got to learn to embrace it. And most important, do the work. If you show up to these trainings, take notes, and don't do the work, I can assure you that nothing is going to change or improve for you. It's a guarantee. If you just come here and listen and do nothing, you're going to get nothing. And I guarantee it. You must show up. You must learn, keep an open mind, and you must take action. You must actually apply the lessons which we're teaching, and you must stick to it. The most important one of all is sticking to it. Don't just do it for a couple of days. You've got to stick at it to see the results. And so that is really important. I know that you're not just here to hear me speak, and I know you're not just here to make some friends, because quite honestly, there's a lot cheaper ways, a lot easier ways to go and make some friends and have a chat to people than joining this program. So if you want change, if you want results, and if you want to be the master of your own life, then make sure you do the work. Now let's talk about taking full responsibility, because this is the most important thing to really get your head around right now, coming into this program. So where you are in life right now, financially, physically, mentally, this is precisely how you have designed it. So you are responsible for where you are at in life right now and nobody else. So, what you have right now, how much money in your bank account, the state of everything you have, it's all you. You did that, you designed it, and you're the only person responsible for that. And I know for a lot of people this is kind of hard to come to grips with at first, because sometimes you hear that and you're like, no, it was to do with the government, or it was to do with this person or that person, but it wasn't, it was you. And so you have to learn to accept that right here, right now in week 1. I remember when I first read this, I wanted to fight it too. I was like, no, it was this other person or this, and then I didn't make any progress in life or in business until I fully accepted that it was all me. So make sure that you get your head around that one first, and you accept that. And just like you're responsible for where you are right now, you will be responsible for the results that you get with this training program. So, if you coming into this program and then you see some of the training pushes you outside your comfort zone a little bit, and you're like, you don't do it, and so you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, I'll just skip that and forget about it, I'll just dust it under the rug. And then you don't get any results, and then you complain. Well, you're saying like, oh, the training wasn't laid out properly or something. I mean, that's not true. That's your fault. That means that you didn't have the courage to stand up against yourself and push yourself outside of your comfort zone. So just remember, don't blame other things, don't blame other people. You're responsible for where you are in life right now, and you're going to be responsible for the results you get with this program. You have to take full responsibility, 100% for everything. And I've observed 10,000, more than 10,000, it's about 10,500 now, and by the time you're listening to this video, it could be could be a lot more. But having observed 10,000 students, it is devastatingly obvious that those who achieve success take full responsibility for their results in life, and they never blame anybody else or play the victim. And this is so important. People who are victims don't get anything in life. So you don't want to be the victim. You don't want to say it's the government's fault. You don't want to say it's my internet connection's fault, or you don't want to say my computer was too slow, or my back was sore, or I was tired, or it was raining outside, or there was traffic. You don't want to be one of those people, because those people don't get anything. Those people are saying that life's out of their control, and they're basically in a pinball machine, and whatever happens to them, it was just poor me. And you don't want to be that person, because they don't get anything in life. And when you're someone who takes full responsibility for everything, you get everything. So make sure that you fully come to grips with this and fully internalize this right now and accept it, because it is the most important step for creating change in this entire program. Now, coming up against resistance. So, as you go through these trainings, you're going to come up against some resistance. And most people believe that resistance is a bad thing. And when they face it, they believe the right thing to do is to stop or try something else with less resistance or no resistance at all. And you imagine that. You imagine going to the gym, right? So this is literally what people do. This is how crazy people are. So someone goes out and they're like, I know what I want to do. I want to start my own business. And so they make a phone call and they're like, hey, I'm thinking of starting my own business and I'm thinking of selling these things. What do you think this is a good idea? And the first person they speak to is like, no, that's a stupid idea. You should give up. So then they hang up, and then the person who's thinking about starting a business is like, oh my God, that was hard. I shouldn't start my own business. I'm going to stop. I'm going to quit right now. Right? Well, that's someone facing resistance in the business world and then quitting. But then you imagine if you went to the gym and you wanted to, get fit and healthy. And so you went to the gym, and you lay down on the bench press machine, and you put some weights on, and then you just pushed up, and you're like, oh my God, this thing's kind of heavy, and it's kind of hard to lift. I know I shouldn't lift anything at all. Well, if you didn't lift anything at all, if you didn't come up against any resistance in the gym, you wouldn't grow. And the same is true in business. Like, when you come up against resistance, it's just not resistance which you can really touch, or see with your eyes. It's not a material form of resistance. It is a mental form of resistance, but it is the same thing. Like, you're coming up against resistance, and that resistance is what is helping you to grow and to become stronger and to become a bigger person and really grow the life and business that you want. So it's really important to understand this. When you're coming up against resistance, if you think, oh man, this is hard, this is going to be a challenge, or oh, this is going to push me outside of my comfort zone, that's a good thing. And you need to learn to embrace resistance. Because when you come up against resistance, you want to embrace it and take it as feedback that you're doing something right and experiencing growth. So me, like these days, when I try something and if I come up against some resistance, I'm like, oh man, this one's probably it. This is going to be good. Because, it's like I'm trying to take some big action. The universe kind of gives me a kick in the face back. And I'm like, okay, it's on now. And now I'm going to keep pushing. Because, sometimes when I feel that kickback, I know that that's the right thing to do. Because, it's going to be a challenge and it's really going to push me outside of my comfort zone. And I'm excited now. If I get pushed back or if I face resistance, it just makes me hungrier. And I just turn into an animal and the thing is going to get absolutely demolished. So it's important that you adopt that same belief. And just like in a video game, you're choosing to play at a new level of life. And this new level attracts resistance and growth. And it's impossible to grow without facing this resistance. In a video game, you can't advance from level 1 to level 2 and then just expect level 2 to be just as easy as level 1. Then that would just, if you wanted to do that, you could just turn your whole video game off and start from scratch again. But we don't want that. We're trying to get to level 2, level 3, level 4, and when you do that, you're going to face resistance. And it's important to remember that the plane takes off against the wind, not with it. If you try to take off, with the wind, you've got to go pretty damn fast, and it's pretty hard to do, and they don't recommend it. It takes off into the wind. Remember that. Now let's talk about the failure uniform, and this one is very important. So, like I said, I've observed a lot of people come through my training, and I've noticed that the people who get into these failure mindsets and the people who don't get results, they all look the same. And I don't mean like they wear the same things or they look the same. I mean their behavior and their way of thinking and their way of living, it all looks the same. And I coined this term the failure uniform. And it's something that you definitely do not want to be caught wearing. So here's the failure uniform. Number 1, feeling like you know everything. If you did know everything, then you would be the wealthiest person and the most powerful person in the world. And so you definitely don't know everything. And if you knew everything about consulting, then you would be better at it than me. And chances are, if you were, then you wouldn't have bought this program to learn from me. So you don't know everything about the world and you don't know everything about consulting. I can assure you of that. So, you don't want to feel like you know everything. When you get to a module and it's like a module on sales, you don't want to think, I already know sales. Because I've had people who are sales veterans who have come in here with 30-year careers and they've been top producers. And they're like, this showed me things about sales I'd never even thought were possible. So the worst thing you can do is think that you already know something, because you don't. And you're not going to know this new way of doing it, which I've created. So keep an open mind, put the student hat on, and, just let go of all of those beliefs that you already know everything. So using interaction as a replacement for success and your own results. So I see this, it's quite common with people who don't do well. They join a group, and then they jump into the Facebook group, and then they start reaching out to people. They're like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, yeah, should we jump on Skype for a chat? Or, hey, free to chat now? And they're pretty much just social butterflies that are just having chats with each other and not doing any work and then not getting any results. And what they're doing is they're using interaction as a replacement for success. So, when you get success, you get a dopamine spike in your brain, and that's what makes you feel good. That's what happens when you make some money. And if someone's not getting their success or their dopamine from that, then they're going to find something else to do it with. And, interacting with other people can be that same release. So, doing that is just fooling yourself. It's fooling yourself that you don't need the success, because eventually it's going to dawn on you that you do need it, and you will have just tricked yourself. So don't be that person that uses interaction as a replacement for your own results. You want to come into this program and focus on your own results first. It's kind of like in the aviation industry, how they recommend that you put your own mask on before helping others. Well, that's what you should do in this program too. Like, before you go and become a social butterfly, focus on yourself. Get your mindset right, get your foundations right, start taking action, get in motion, and then you can go in and join some conversations. So asking questions about how X relates to Y and trying to understand everything academically. So this is not an academic program. This is, and thank God it's not, because, it's quite obvious in the world right now, the sorts of people and the sorts of innovation that academic education systems are creating, and it's stagnant. It's about to explode, really. I mean, the whole industry is completely on the tipping point, and so we're going to see the whole thing get shaken up big time. And it's because the academic way of learning has become too rigid and too stagnant, and it's over. I mean, it's a new age now, and the old traditional ways of doing things and the old traditional ways of thinking don't work anymore. So don't worry about how my training relates to X and Y, and don't try and understand everything academically, because this isn't an academics course. Then talking to people and establishing relationships before gaining your own momentum. So you don't want to do this. You don't want to go out and just make 100 friends before getting momentum for your business, because, like I said, you're not coming into this program just to talk to some friends or make some friends. You're coming in here to get results and change your life. And then telling stories instead of asking questions. So this is a big one. So I noticed that people who fail, they tell stories. They say things like, they say, okay, well, here's my situation, and they say where they started. They talk about all this journey they went through, and it's always this big, long, complicated thing, and then at the very end, there's their little question. And it's like they feel like that we have to have all of this context before we could answer their little question. So they've attached their question to this massive story, and they can't answer the question when they attach it to the story, but the question is often very simple when it's just asked as a question, but they refuse to just ask it that way. So remember, when you're in this program, it's questions instead of stories. If you're telling a story, it means you've fooled yourself. And if you don't have a question, if you don't know what the question is, it means you're telling a story. So if you're stuck at any stage, or if you're feeling like things are hard, and if you're doubting yourself, and if all of these things are happening, and you just want to tell a massive story, well, stop, pause for a moment and think, wait a minute, what is the question that I need answered right now? Like, stop for a moment, pause, and be like, what question could I ask that if I had the answer to this thing, I would understand how to solve this problem? So, very important to stop whenever you're stuck in a rut like that. Stop and think, what is the question? How can I ask this question? Now, not asking for help in the Facebook group or the weekly Q&A calls. So, a lot of people, well, it's not a lot anymore. It's actually hardly any people. But I've noticed that some people, they write into our support channels and they ask for help there, but they haven't asked for help in the Facebook group or the weekly Q&A calls. And you definitely do not want to be one of those people, because it takes longer for us to reply to your support questions via email, and you could have got help in less than 5 minutes if you wrote the question in the Facebook group. So go to the Facebook group and the Q&A calls first before you go and ask our customer support team. And then playing the victim and blaming anything other than yourself. So this is a big one. This is the failure uniform. This is it all wrapped up. It's playing the victim. It's saying, I'm not successful because of X. It's saying, the reason why I'm unhappy and the reason why I don't have what I want and the reason why things are the way they are is because of X. And X could be anything else that isn't you. So it could be the weather, your internet, your back pain. It could be the government. It could be this recent piece of news which has been on. It could be anything. And the important thing to understand is that X isn't creating anything. It's you. And the people who get success, they take full 100% responsibility for themselves and their situations. So you need to take full responsibility and understand that where you are in life right now is your own doing. You did it all. And where you want to get to and the results you're going to get with this program are all you as well. It's always you. And you definitely don't want to play the victim or blame anyone else, because that is how you display the failure uniform. And I know it well, my coaches know it well, and everyone else in the group knows how to identify the failure uniform very well. So don't be caught wearing it. And this isn't even for me, it's not like I don't want to see people wearing the failure uniform in there, it's for you. I'm telling you this advice so that you get results. This isn't a selfish thing from my point of view. This is me wanting the best for you. And you're going to be tempted to do everything other than the work and making a sale. And I mean this. This is what your procrastinator is going to do. It's, you're starting a new program. There's going to be work to do. Some things are going to be challenging, pushing you outside of your comfort zone. And you're going to want to do everything else other than the work. You're going to want to go get a new haircut. You're going to want to go out with your friends, go partying. You're going to want to do everything. Probably want to even clean your house. You probably want to go and clean your garage, which you never even wanted to do ever. But now that you've got this thing to do, you're probably going to want to go and do that. And it's very important whenever you feel procrastination to just pause for a moment and feel where that procrastination is pulling you. Like, where is it pulling you towards? So if I sit down with the intent of say, coming up with my niche, and then I start getting these urges and these feelings to clean my garage and clean my house, and I can feel that pull coming on, and it's pulling me over to the garage or over to to clean the house. What's important to do is feel where it's pulling you away from, not where it's pulling you towards. So if it's pulling me away from picking my niche and towards cleaning my garage, I know the right thing to do is to pick my niche and not clean my garage. So whatever way you feel it pulling, go the opposite, and you'll always be doing the right thing at that point in time. So you must do the work. I know I've said this a lot of times. I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again until you're just walking around on the street and you've just got me stuck in your brain. And it's just going to be saying, do the work, do the work, do the work. Because, it's one thing to understand this stuff conceptually. You could go through this whole program 21 times. You could really understand everything. You could be able to recite this entire program off by heart. But it's still not going to do anything for you unless you do the work. You have to apply it. You have to understand it mentally. You have to internalize it. And then you actually have to go out and take action. You need both sides. One side on its own won't do anything. So make sure you do the work. and you must stick to it. Like, you can't just do the work for a day and then not do the work anymore. You can't do the work for a week and then not do it anymore. It takes continuous and consistent effort, day after day. You've just got to do the work, do the work, do the work, do the work. And eventually, things will change for you. Just boom, all of a sudden, it's like your whole life's changed. That is why you must stick to it. And so if you get a week in and you don't have any results, yeah, I mean, you're a week into something, 7 days. I mean, a lot of people do get results in 7 days, but just because you don't doesn't really mean anything. It means you just need to stick to it, keep at it. People start from all different stages. Some people are just on the brink of getting their first client when they join. Some people don't know anything about business at all. I mean, different people are going to achieve results at different stages in time, and the only thing that's important is that you must stick to it. And, someone asked me in the Facebook group the other day, they were like, Sam, if you could tell us the one most vital, life-changing piece of advice that you could possibly tell us, like, what would be that one thing that has resulted in your success? Like, what is that one magic thing? And I was thinking for a while, and I was like, oh, that's a good question. What is that one magic thing? And I thought about it, and then I realized that it was that I didn't give up. Like, because what happened is I chose all of the wrong things. Like, I did everything wrong. But by doing all the wrong things, I eventually found the right things. And then I was able to remember what the right things were and the wrong things were. And I just keyed through every possible variation and found out what worked and what didn't, and eventually got to this point. And truthfully, everybody is going to get to the point of success. The only thing standing in your way is sticking to it. And, the only way you can really possibly lose is by giving up. And so that really is the most important thing. Like, you've got to do the work, you've got to learn this stuff, you've got to keep an open mind, you've got to take action, you've got to be consistent, but the most important thing of all is just sticking to it. Sticking to it and never giving up. You've got to be relentless, and you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. Like, this is your life, this is your success, your family's life. I mean, it's the most important thing in the world. So you must get relentless and do whatever it takes. And most importantly, you must not wear that failure uniform. Not even a sock of it. You don't want to wear a single piece of that failure uniform because it's all bad. So if you can sense yourself starting to feel like a victim, if you can sense yourself, starting to kind of wear that uniform, check yourself and, get rid of it. You do not want to be wearing it because it's just all bad. It causes failure and despair and everything. So make sure you're not caught wearing it. So important things to remember, nothing is a failure. So some things we'll try here will fail. And, some sales calls won't end in a yes. Some ads will bomb. Like, you might try some Facebook ads and they're not going to work. But it's totally fine. Like, I do Facebook ads all the time that don't work. It doesn't mean I get all sad and go have a cry. I mean, I just try some different ones. And, this is important. Like, society conditions us to think that any failure is bad. And any failure is like really bad. But the only way to achieve success is with some failure. So some things won't work for you. And we don't even consider that a failure. We just consider that feedback. So that's feedback from the market to us saying, market doesn't really like this, or that didn't really work. Probably try something else. And it's essential to have some failures, to get that feedback, and then course correct and get closer to success. So don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as feedback. Then take massive action and know that it will not be perfect. Like, your ads are going to feel imperfect. Trust me, your sales calls are going to feel imperfect. You're going to doubt the niche you pick, and that's a fact. Like, I've seen so many different people start this program. I've seen so many people doubt their own niche. Like, everyone doubts their own niche. Everyone always thinks that another niche is better than their own. And, believe me, everybody doubts all of their own stuff initially. It's normal. And the grass isn't always greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. So, don't think, oh, that niche is better than my niche, or that's better than, this way is better than that way, because it's not. It's just whatever you stick to. I mean, there's people that own $100 million businesses in the lawn mowing niche, and there are people that own massive businesses in every different niche. And, it's important to understand that, like, when you start, things aren't going to feel perfect. Like, whenever you put something out there for the first time, it feels all wrong. Like, when I first created a training program, it felt wrong. When I first did a video, it felt wrong. When I first got on the phone and did a sales call, it felt wrong. And that's just how it always feels in the beginning. And it's important that you take imperfect action, because taking big leaps forward, it feels like that. And what you need to do is understand that feeling comfortable is bad, and that feeling discomfort is good. If you're feeling discomfort, it means you're pushing yourself. It means you're growing as a person and as a business. And, when I started to learn this, I was like, well, that means that every day I should be feeling uncomfortable. And so now I use it as a way to kind of check to see if I'm pushing myself enough. Like, if I have a few days and I'm not feeling challenged or uncomfortable, I'm like, oh, I've got to push myself harder. And now I've learned to make that discomfort, I've learned to make that real comfort for me. So if I'm in an uncomfortable situation, like, I'm thriving. That's what I love to do. I want to be in uncomfortable situations all day. And I think a lot of other people, they don't ever want to be in uncomfortable situations ever. And that's what comfort is for them. But you can reverse these two poles. You can make discomfort your new comfort. And when you do that, then you are going to just be a wild success-eating machine. Because it means that everything that people get afraid of are things that you do for fun. And when you do that, you will really conquer life and business, because you have completely reversed the poles on what everyone else does. So you want to start doing that. Whenever you feel discomfort, whenever you feel yourself getting pushed outside of your comfort zone, just embrace it. Be like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. This is awesome. I'm about to grow. And this is what I need to be doing. So I'm going to go for it. That's what you want to do. And you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. This is your time, and this is your calling to play a bigger game and become a better person. You would have enrolled in this program for a reason. You would have seen my ad for a reason, clicked on it, gone through the webinar, purchased this, shown up today, all for a reason. And that reason is because it's your calling to play a bigger game. It's your time right now, and you've probably been thinking this a little bit, like, it's probably about time I stepped up. And, it's not just by chance. That's why you're here. And it's time to step things up big time. And what you need to do is lose all your stories of the past, because they are not welcome here. Don't think about your past at all. Lose those stories. Keep an open mind and get ready to shake things up, because this is going to be the biggest period of growth for you ever. And I will be completely upfront with you at all times. If you're going to complain or blame something else other than yourself, I'll just tell you to quit and start working for Uber. Uber employs anyone pretty much, and they pay pretty good salaries. I think they pay like $15 an hour or something. And, they'll take you. So if you want to complain and if you're like, oh, this business stuff is hard, I'll just tell you to go work for Uber. And you should, if you want to complain. So, don't complain. Just suck it up. Like, realize that it's all your own doing. You're responsible for your situation. You're responsible for where you're going in life and who you're becoming. And you just need to embrace it. And you need to just learn to grow and understand that we're all here to win. Like, this is a winner's culture. We don't give sympathy, and we don't all circle around the person who wants to complain and feel sad. This is different. The person who feels sad doesn't get any attention in this group. They don't even get to say. So that person has to realize themselves that they're choosing to be sad. and they have to suck it up and come join the winners again. That's how it works in this group. And it's important that you don't complain, and that you suck everything up and take responsibility for everything, because we're here to win, and I know that you want to win. So let's do it. So here's some pitfalls to watch out for. Number 1, not making enough offers to people. So your income is directly related to how many people you have a conversation with. And if you don't have any sales this week, well, how many strategy sessions have you done? And if you didn't do any strategy sessions, well, how many promotions did you do to generate strategy sessions? If someone has a problem with their business, I can just ask them a series of questions, and I can get right down to the heart of the problem. If someone comes to me and they're like, Sam, I haven't made any money. I'm like, okay, well, what are you selling? And if they're like, I don't know, then I'll be like, well, that's why you don't have any money. So if someone comes to me and they're like, Sam, I haven't made any money, I'm like, oh, have you made any sales? They're like, no. I'm like, well, have you made any sales? Have you got any strategy sessions? They're like, no. I was like, did you do anything to generate any strategy sessions? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, of course. How could it be any other way? Like, I think a lot of people think that success in life comes from some magical source called luck or chance or something. And that people just walk around in life, and some people are just struck by like a piece of lightning and they got like $1 million. Or some people just fluke things. They just take a different turn on the road one day, and oh, bam, there's got a massive business and all this money. And they just think that life works this way. It doesn't. People get what they work towards, what they deserve, and what they plan for, and when they do the work, people get the reward. And so if you don't have the reward, then you didn't do the work. It's very simple. And now we just need to find out what part of the work you didn't do. So in order to make a sale, you need to have strategy sessions. And in order to have strategy sessions, you need to promote to get strategy sessions. It's just real simple. So when you catch yourself thinking, oh my God, I haven't got any results this week, well, ask yourself why. Reverse engineer it. And you will find out why. And then you know what you need to do next time so that you can make some sales. Number 2, overanalyzing which niche to go with. So I see this one a lot. Like people get torn. They torment themselves when they're forced to choose something, because your whole life you've kind of been taught that it's okay to fence it. You can kind of straddle between this job, that job, kind of being into this thing, kind of being into that thing, and in business that doesn't work very well. You can't fence sit on everything. You have to make a choice. And we're not saying that this one choice is, we're not saying that you're marrying this choice. Like, when you pick a niche, you're not marrying it. You don't have to be with it forever. You're not going to be surgically attached to it for the rest of your life. I mean, it's just important that you choose something now so that we can get to work. And then that niche will either be right or it will be wrong for you. Either way, we're going to figure out for sure. And if it's wrong, it's no problem to swap it out for something else. And if it's right, I mean, you can stick to it. But we're never going to get that feedback, whether it's right or wrong, until you choose something. So it's so important to make a decision. And you're never going to have all the information to make the decision. You're never going to be able to make a perfect decision. There's no such thing as a human being making a perfect decision. A human being mind and a human being linear language system cannot compute all the data in the world to be able to make a perfect decision. It's impossible. Not even supercomputers, quantum computers, anything can make a perfect decision. So you just need to understand that. And you need to look at the information, give yourself a reasonable amount of time, make a decision, and then stick to it. And then eventually you're going to get enough feedback to figure out whether you should change it up or whether you should stick to it. Very simple. And you need to remind yourself all the time, the best time to act was yesterday. And the next best time is always now. So if you're thinking, when should I start making sales calls? The right answer was really yesterday. That would have been the right time. The next best time is right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not anything, not when your new headset comes in. That's procrastinating. Now. So the third pitfall is ignoring the mindset side of the process. So this program has two key parts, mental and tactical. And I've never met a person who has achieved results without treating both sides with equal importance. So you need to apply the tactics as well as reprogram your mind. And you can't have one without the other. You can't just come in and focus purely on tactics and expect success. I promise you won't have success. Or you can't just come in here and focus only on the mindset stuff and expect to just lie down on your couch and have all of these things magically appear. We've got two schools of thought in our society these days. We've got the spiritual side and we've got the business side. We've got the people who, meditate all day long and eat healthy food and do yoga and everything, and then they worry why they don't have any money and why they're now stressed out when their mantra is supposed to be being not stressed out. So we've got that side, which is the spiritual side. And then we've got this other side, which is the business side, like the people who believe spiritual stuff is all bullshit and it's all about taking wild action. And, we've got these guys are awesome at making money and they can build big businesses and everything, but they all meet limits. And, some people meet their limit at 20 grand. Some people it's 30, some people it's 40, 50. Some guys, I can tell you all of the guys that make millions and more, they've all mastered both sides. There's no way to get, really super successful without really acknowledging both sides. You need to acknowledge the mental side of things and the tactical. If you just try and get there all on one, it's not going to work at all. So, I've had in this program so far, I think I've had 15 millionaires and it must be close to 300 people who have made six figures now. This course has created more success and more results than anything else. And, in observing all of those people and all of their transformations and all of the results and how their lives have changed and everything, they've combined both sides, mindset and tactical. And you need to do the same. So in week 2, we're going to teach you a new worldview and a new paradigm, which you're going to program into your mind. And when we do that, it's important that you don't dismiss it. You can't just think, oh, this is some woo-woo stuff that's not going to make any difference. It is. Believe me. It's going to make more difference than you can imagine if you're someone who thinks like that. So for the person who is already very adept to mindset stuff, it'll still make a massive difference, but to the person who's closed off to it, it's going to make the most difference at all. It's going to change that person's world. So, if you're one of those people that has dismissed it in the past, you're in for some awesome transformations when you do accept it this time. And then working on anything that is not. Promoting to generate strategy sessions or doing strategy sessions and making offers to people. So once we've got your mindset sorted, once we've got your foundation set, and once you know what your niche is and you've got your action plan and you're ready to go, then the only things that are really important is promoting to generate strategy sessions and then doing strategy sessions. That's it. You just need to do both of those things and you're going to be making money. Now, we're at week 1, video 1 of this program, and I'm sure a lot of people were having initial doubts. They're like, will this actually work for me? I just spent this money. Is this thing going to work? How do I know I just didn't buy something which is going to be a scam or something like that? Some people have these thoughts, and that's fine. So I'm going to show you what this program is all about. So I'll start off with my story. So, I got started when I was 21 years old. And I had just gone through college. I was finishing up my college degree, and I was doing an internship at Vodafone, and I was working in a corporate job, and there's my laptop right there. And I was, I just got this job. I thought this was what life was supposed to be like. I thought this was like success. Like my whole life, I'd been told that you go to school and then you go to college and then, you get a job at a corporate, and that's what success is supposed to be like. Like, you've made it. That's it. That's success. And then I got there, and at first I was kind of excited, and then I looked around and I was like, is this really what it's supposed to be like? Because I didn't feel very successful. I didn't feel very happy. I didn't feel like the work I was doing was very important at all, and I definitely wasn't making much money. And I looked around and I realized that it wasn't just me thinking that. It was pretty much everyone. And it was a very weird moment for me, because I was like, how did this happen? Like, I followed everybody's advice. Like, I was that person who went to the career planner, asked his mum and dad, asked to his friends, I listened to the teachers, I listened to what society told me to do. Society told me, you go to school, then you go to college, you get good grades, and then you get an internship, and then you get into the corporate world, and then you work your way up the ladder, and you save, and you're going to make lots of money, and that's what success is. And I was like, it was a pretty strange time, because I was like, well, I listened to what society said, I listened to what the public opinion was, and all evidence is showing me that public opinion was wrong. But then I was like, well, how can this be? Surely everyone can't be wrong. Like, surely not. Can't be right. I'd be delusional if I was thinking everyone was wrong. Because how could one small, insignificant person like me be more right and smarter than everyone? And it was kind of a weird situation. And it was the first time I'd ever questioned everything, or ever questioned everyone. And then I started looking. Like, that question really is what sparked it all for me. That question made me start looking. Like, truthfully, I'd never even looked. Like, I never thought, well, what is another way to have a job? What is another way to make money? And like, once I questioned it, I immediately was like, well, why don't I just Google this thing? So I went to Google and I was like, alternative ways to make an income other than employment. And I just started searching around. I was like, how are other people even making money? Like, and then I started thinking, like, oh yeah, like, how did like those really rich people make money? Like, well, there was that guy who owns that nice house on that street. Like, what does he do that enables him to make all that money? Like, these were just questions I'd never even really asked before. I'd never even really chosen to look, let alone looked. And it wasn't until I was confronted by, this evidence which I had in front of me, which is me and my new job. I was like, this isn't awesome. And society lied to me. Society told me this was going to be awesome. So it's the first time in my life I really questioned society. I questioned everyone. And really questioning that and going against it is what led me on the beginnings of searching, like, what are other alternatives. And I quickly found that starting your own business is a way better deal than having a job. Like, I'm shocked. You can't even understand how different these two things are. I mean, a job, you're working for someone else. You're getting paid a limited amount, which is their decision whether that goes up or down. They can fire you at any time, and they do all the time. It's not like it's a really rare event, and everything's out of your control, and you're basically like a slave. And with business, I mean, you've got everything right. Like, usually with decisions, something's not all awesome and something's not all bad, but with the difference between having a job and owning your own business, it's honestly one of those ones where having the job is all bad and having the business is all good. Because you've got freedom, you've got like passion, what you're doing actually makes a difference, everything's in your total control, you've got full creativity, you can do whatever you want, you can live wherever you want, you can make as much money as you want, and the difference is just like night and day. And after I started researching all of this stuff, I thought, man, this is, I can't like stay at this job. I have to try this thing out. I'm going to start my own business. And so that's what I did. I quit my job at Vodafone and I started my own business, and I was 21 years old, and I had to move back home with my parents into their garage because they'd downsized their house since I had left, and I had to move back home there to save some money. And this is where I worked. This is where I lived and worked each day. I would literally go to sleep at night on that couch over there, and then in the morning I'd wake up and work from that desk supported by concrete blocks. I would just pull my chair up to there, start working, and sleep on that couch. And this is where I got my start. Like, I had no money. I sold my car and everything I had, and I think I was able to scrape together like, $3,000 or something. But I had a lot of student debt. I had like at least 40, 50 grand in student debt. So, and I had no income because I just quit my job. So this is where I started. And I'm not exaggerating it at all when I say that I didn't know anything. Like, I knew less than you guys would know for sure, because somehow you've had the intelligence to buy this program. I didn't even have any intelligence to do anything like that. I didn't even know programs existed to actually learn stuff like this. So I was far less sophisticated than you are right now, and that's not even an exaggeration. And I had to figure everything out myself. And I started out by creating a number of different businesses. I started an online job board, and that didn't work out. That failed. I started a office lunch delivery business. That didn't work out, and that failed. And my whole first year, I was spinning my tires. I, wasted all the money I had. I got credit cards and family loans and more debt and everything. And, after that I spun my tires for a year. I was working like 12 hours a day, didn't get any results, had nothing to show for it, and was, beating myself up and thinking, everyone was telling me, man, maybe it's time you went back and got a job. And, it was a really hard time. And it was through going through all of those failures and everything that I figured out what didn't work. And as I went through what didn't work, it taught me not to make those mistakes again. And when I tried something again and that still didn't work, if it didn't work but it was still worked a little bit better than the other one, I could kind of get a sense for which was closer to the truth and which was further away from the truth based on how bad the failure was. And eventually, after going through enough failures and by paying enough attention, I was able to find, where the truth was, like where the true advice was. Like if someone was teaching you on how to get customers, on how to make sales, on how to make money, on how you should think, on all of this different stuff, it really blew my mind and it fascinated me that what we're taught is wrong. Like, the things which they teach you in school, the things which your parents tell you, the things which you read on the news in the newspapers, the things that you read in books, the things that they teach you at university, even if you do an MBA, even if you go to Harvard, it doesn't matter where you get this stuff from, it's all wrong. And if you go on the internet and you Google these things, like, it really blew my mind that common opinion was not right. And, it was just, it was an ongoing discovery from when I first questioned public opinion. And when I first questioned public opinion, it was when I was at my job at Vodafone, and my whole life, everyone told me, if you do this, you'll be happy. I wasn't happy, and I did what they said. So I questioned everyone. I was like, well, how can everyone be wrong? Like, surely me, little insignificant me, surely I can't be right and the rest of the world is wrong. And it turned out that I was right there. And then throughout these different processes, it turned out that I was right with a lot of things. And it taught me that you should never really listen to public opinion. And quite often when public opinion says one thing, quite often you should look the other way and really conduct your own research. A lot of the time public opinion can be right, but seriously, most of the time it can be wrong. And I'm not saying there's one hard rule to follow. You don't just always deny it, always follow it. The most important thing is for you to just be able to judge and interpret situations for yourself and come up with your own conclusions. Conduct your own research, come up with your own conclusions and make decisions for yourself. But you can't rely on other people to tell you what to do, and you can't rely on other people to make decisions for you. You can use people as guidance and everything, but it is so important in life that you understand, how things work, and you're able to compute information and generate, results and decisions yourself. And so by going through all of this failure, I kind of started to figure out what the truth was. And then I was able to start my own consulting business after about 12 months. And in that first year, I made zero. I lost money. And then in the first year I started my consulting business, I made $100,000. Then in the next year it was $500,000. Then in the next year it was $1.2 million, then $2.4 million, and then it really just went kaboom last year in 2016, where I made $18.25 million. And that's pretty crazy. That's like pretty much from losing 50 grand in a year to almost 20 million in a year in like 5 years by the time I was like 26. So, that was the massive transformation that happened. And then I ended up living in Manhattan in New York, and I had this an awesome apartment. I was making more money than I ever could imagine anyone could make, and consistently making more than $100,000 a day, and that's a lot of money. And what's pretty crazy is that I definitely you might look at me now and think, oh, Sam, he must be some genius, or Sam, he must have something which we don't, or he must have been gifted, or he must have inherited a bunch of money, or he must have a higher IQ, or he must have something different than us. And I'm telling you that we're not where I got started. I was definitely less sophisticated than where you are right now, I can guarantee that. The only difference is that I stuck to it, number one, and number two is I had a really good mechanism of judging, of working like a process for going through things, for figuring out whether something was right or wrong, and constantly improving. And, I took this whole thing for granted, this system that I used inside my brain to filter through tons of information and figure out what worked and what didn't, and be able to make decisions and get to where I am now. And this, that filtration system and that way of thinking is now it's become this training program. And, the secret weapon which I've used my whole life to go from zero or minus 50,000 really to, more than 20 million and more than 100,000 a day consistently is what this training program is all about. So, this training program really is my life's work at this point. Like, I've put everything that has helped me get here, I have rolled it up and I've put it inside this program. And, I've really taken everything that I've ever learned, boiled it down, distilled it, and turned it into this program. And this program it's like an exact science for how to do something which everyone thought was totally up to chance. So the whole world thought that becoming successful, becoming successful, becoming rich, wealthy, starting your own business, and transforming your own life, people thought that that was a fluke. And society labeled it as like miracle story, right? That's pretty much what they labeled it as. And it's not. Truthfully, it's not. There's no such thing as a miracle. It's just cause and effect, and it's how you think. And what I've done in this program is I've taken something which the world thought was a miracle, and I have turned it into an exact, precise science which anyone can follow, and anyone can use it to do what I've done or more. So that's what this program really is. It helped me make that transformation, and it didn't just help me. Like, if it was just me that had made that transformation, then, I would probably take sides with anyone and say, well, yeah, that probably was a fluke. But I was able to do this in 4 years, and not just me, but the true test was the rest of my students. So I started teaching other people how to do this stuff as well. And, we've had world-leading results like nothing else the world's ever seen. So we've had 15 millionaires, we've had 232 six-figure earners, and we've had 10,500 happy customers. And that has happened in like 3 years. And, all the millionaires came in 1 year, and, I know this year we're going to add at least 20, 30 millionaires to that list. Like, we're not even at the stage where we're really even making a dent. We're only really just getting started with this thing. So I have enough evidence collected now, not just from my own story and my own transformation, but through the transformation of other people. I have evidence that this thing works, and it works so much better than the current way that is being taught throughout society and the world, that it really is like revolutionary. There has been no time, in at least that we have documentation of, where there has ever existed a system or a science to take someone from a situation in their life where they would appear like they're doomed to a situation in their life where they are making more than $20 million a year. Nothing has ever existed like that. And that's what this program is. And so, you're lucky enough to be in here and made this decision. It's obviously you're ready for it. That's why you're here, and that's why you're listening to this video right now. It's your time, and it's the time where, you're ready to step up and make a massive growth transition in your life. And it's so important that you don't doubt this program, because that's the only thing that can really trip you up, is doubting yourself or doubting this program. And I've got enough evidence to show you that you shouldn't doubt this program. I've got more evidence than the public opinion does to support theirs. So you shouldn't doubt the program, and we have evidence to back that up, and you shouldn't doubt yourself, because we have evidence to back that one up too. We have transformed 15 people from having a 9-to-5 job and making like 30, 40 grand a year to making multiple millions. And, that's a lot of evidence. So don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt the program. It works, and it works surprisingly well. And so you just need to trust the process, trust yourself, and do the work. If you do all of that, then everything will happen for you. And here's some of my successful students and their stories. So, Dave Rogemosa, he used to make 50 grand a year working a 9-to-5 job, and then he made over 100 grand in his first 90 days. And then he went on to make over 100 grand a month, and within 10 months of joining the program, and now he's a millionaire. And from it, he was able to propose to his wife, and that was thanks to the finances and the freedom that this program provided. And here's Paul Ryan. Well, his name was Paul Ryan, but he had to change it to Paul Xavier because Paul Ryan is some famous person in America, and when people Googled him on the internet, he could never compete with this other guy. So there's a funny story why he had to change his last name. And Paul used to make $45,000 a year as a government contractor working a 9-to-5 job. And then he joined my program, and he grew his agency to over 100 grand a month with his business partner, Mark Ford. And he was able to travel the world for a year while running his business and living totally on his terms. And here's Andrew Argue. He used to run a generalist agency, and he was making 17 grand a month. He was helping a range of different businesses with a range of different things, working real hard and making 17 grand a month. And within 90 days of joining the program, he became a specialist in the accounting niche, and he was making more than 200 grand a month. And I'm not joking, that happened within 90 days. And since then, he's continued to do that every single month, and he's growing. Now he's knocking on the doors of 300 grand a month, which is an insane transformation in a very short amount of time. Here's Courtney Martin. She made $120,000 in her first 90 days of starting. She quit her job and, completely changed her life with this. Here's Jake Engelhorn. He had a marketing agency and it was stalled at $5,000 a month and had been there for years. Like, we're not talking about just a small little plateau here. We're talking about a total, stalemate sort of position where he was at $5,000 a month. And then he joined the program. He was able to get to $88,000 a month within 6 months. And that's more than $1 million a year. And he consistently beat that month every month since. And here's Josh Harris. And Josh Harris is one of the coaches in my program. So if you're on one of the Q&A calls, he will be on there. And Josh was struggling to make ends meet, and he was making $3,000 a month. Seriously, he was, like, you can ask him, he was making less than $3,000 a month. And he had two kids, and he had a mortgage and everything. And, he joined the program, and he grew to $120,000 a month. And that's more than $1.2 million a year. And he upgraded his family home. He got rid of his old home. He got a nice, massive home in Florida. He got a Tesla, the one he'd always dreamed of. He's completely changed his life. If you saw Josh back when I saw him, and if you saw him now, you wouldn't even think that they were the same people. And so, he was able to make this massive transformation. Here's Chris Evans and Taylor Walsh. So they're business partners together, and they were doing $20,000 a month, struggling with done-for-you clients. And they joined this program and grew to over $200,000 a month in 10 months. So that's like 10x in 10 months. And I just heard from them in February of 2017, and they're close to $300,000 a month now. So these guys massively transformed their life and business as well. And that's just the start of it, seriously. Like, there is no reason why you can't make a return on your investment this week. And I'm not joking, this isn't an exaggeration. People have made return on their investments on the first day. Sometimes you jump into a program and you realize that you were thinking about something the wrong way, or something pops into your head and you're like, oh, I should try this. And people do something and it makes them money. And so don't feel like you have to go through this whole thing from start to finish before you take any action. Like, if something appears to you and you feel like you should do it right now, at any stage throughout the training, do it. Because there is no reason why you can't make an ROI on your investment this week, today, no reason at all. And people do it all the time. And I expect big things from this group. And I expect big things from you as a member within this group. Because I know that you're serious about success since you enrolled in this program. And now it's your time to reach out and grab it. Like, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have attended the webinar. You wouldn't have purchased this program. And you wouldn't have watched this video and gotten to this point right now if you weren't ready for it. And now it is your time. And you've just got to have the courage and the belief to reach out and grab it. And the record for sales during this 6-week program is $126,000 within these 6 weeks. So obviously, if we were to add up total amount of time, I mean, people have made multiple millions with it. But within the 6 weeks, it's $126,000. So, it's on. If someone wants to beat that record, you can go for it, and there's a pretty big prize for it if you do. So I encourage it. And I like to introduce some friendly competition, because in our community, we are a culture of winners. All we do is win. And it's like, in society, it's like they've kind of formed this belief that winning should be played down, and we should give all the attention and sympathy to the people who aren't winning. And all that does is it locks the people who aren't winning in their losing positions, because now they're getting feedback from everyone as the loser. They're like, there's my sympathy, and it's making the problem worse. Like, society has got it around the wrong way. Like, the winners should get attention, and everyone should be winners. And if someone isn't a winner, it's their choice, and they put themselves in that situation, and it's their own doing, and they should get themselves out of there. And sympathy and everything does not help. So we have different views in this program, and this is part of the reason why this program works so profoundly well, is because we think differently and we operate on a different set of rules. And we celebrate success. We don't downplay it. We don't call someone a loudmouth or a show-off when they win. We give them praise, because if you're jealous of other people who achieve success and you call them a show-off, then subconsciously you're never going to be able to have success yourself, because your subconscious is telling you the whole time that other people are going to say that when you win. And so as a member of this group, if you want to be able to win, then you need to encourage other people to win too, and you need to be truly happy for them when they do win. Because in this group, we're all about winning and we celebrate wins. And so here's the different prizes we send out. So when you get your first client, every student who gets their first client does something which we call ringing the bell. And this started out as I don't even know who started this thing, to tell you the truth. It wasn't me. It was the culture of this group just developed over time. So someone in the Facebook group got a client and then posted this picture of a bell, and they said, "Ring the bell, I just got a client." And I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, that's kind of smart. And then, over time, more people started copying it. They would post the same image of this bell, and they'd say, "Ring the bell, just got a client," and then "Ring the bell, just got a client." And I was like, whoa, this thing has become like a culture and a trend and a ritual within this program. And we've really, it's still here today. It's still here today, and it's a really awesome thing to do, because everyone's looking forward to that first client, because everything changes when you get that first client. It's evidence that you've made the right decision. It's evidence to yourself that you are capable of doing this, and it's evidence that this program works and these methods I'm teaching you work. So your first thing you should look forward to is that first client and ringing that bell. So when you get your first client, you want to go into the Facebook group, say "ring the bell," post a picture of a bell, and then everyone's going to cheer you on. And then my community manager, Nick, he's going to be sending you out a prize in the mail too. And we give prizes to everyone that gets their first client. And then to everyone who gets to 6 figures, the next stage, after you're getting clients, you want to get to 6 figures. It's $100,000 a year. And every student who gets to 6 figures gets an invite to come hang out with me at my apartment and offices in New York City for a day. So if you get your business to 6 figures, post in the Facebook group, ring the bell, tell everyone about your story, and then Nick, who is my community manager, he's going to reach out, and we're going to arrange a time where you can come and hang out. And we usually put them into groups, because a lot of people are achieving 6 figures now, and we hold these things every month or so. And then 7 figures. This is $1 million a year. And every student who gets to 7 figures gets an invite to join me on a private jet for a day, where we talk business, hang out, and have fun. And it's totally my shout, cost me a fortune, but it's totally worth it, because if someone can get themselves to 7 figures, that's an insane transformation, and it deserves a massive reward. And this isn't something that's that rare. I mean, we've got 15 people who have made more than $1 million with this program, and a lot of them started from absolute zero. So, it's not only can it be done, but it's done all the time. It's done more than once a month these days. So, this is not like an impossible thing we're talking about here. So these things happen all the time. People post about their first clients. There's more than 10 of them a day. And, these things are happening all the time. And it's, when you join this program and get into it, like, society's going to make out to you that it's hard to be successful, that getting a client is a pipe dream, and that making 7 figures, if you think you can do that, you're just totally whack. That's what most people are going to say to you. But I'm here today to tell you that this is normal. It is normal. People do it all the time. And it's going to become normal for you. As you start joining this, as you join the community, as you start associating yourself with other people in this community who think this way that we think, when you work on your mindset, when you reprogram your mind to all of this stuff, you're going to realize that it's not only like it's not only possible, but it's actually surprisingly easy. So, you want to start thinking this way, and you want to put these goals in mind. The first thing you're shooting for, the second thing, the third thing. Know the journey that's ahead of you. Know the different milestones which you're aiming for, and always keep that end result in mind. Because throughout applying these different processes, going through the training, it's a journey, and you're going to have, throughout a journey, there's ups and downs. There's times where you feel a little bit outside of your comfort zone and challenging times, but it's all worth it if you keep that end result in mind. So you always want to keep that end result in mind, and you want to use it as a way to help yourself get through everything. And, here's just some of the results. Like, you can just scroll through the Facebook group right now if you've just joined. I mean, it's just back to back to back. Like, we're talking thousands of testimonials. Thousands. And I'm not even joking when I say thousands. There's more than 1,000. And so, here is one of the meetups. Here's my apartment in New York. Here's some of my students. Here's us all hanging out. So these things really do happen. The students who get the results are real. Their businesses are real. They have real clients. I'm real. What I'm teaching is real. And these meetups happen all the time. And all these people really do make all this money. And here's the private jet trip, which we went on. And this was one to Miami. Here's all of these guys here and girl got into 7 figures with this training. And so it really does happen. And it happens all the time. And it's actually normal, and it should be expected by you. So you're probably thinking, well, what is it about this training that's so damn good? Because I don't see other programs that really produce results like that. Like, what is it that makes it different? Why should I trust this thing? Like what is it? And what it is it's the perfectly engineered change agent. And so what I've done is I've really looked at what's required in order to make someone change. And not just a small little change, I mean like profound change. Like taking someone from who they are to a totally different person. And I don't mean that in a weird, spooky way, like, oh my God, he's changing people. Like, I mean in a good way. Like taking someone who doubts themselves, taking someone who's down and depressed, who feels like they're worthless and worth nothing, and turning them into a proud, healthy, fit, and a millionaire. Like literally changing someone like that. So this is what it requires to do that. And I'll tell you why most people get it wrong. So most people get it wrong is because they just teach you information. They just teach you some tactics. They're like, oh, you need to start an e-commerce store, you need to sell this thing, you need to sell that thing, and then you're going to have success. But it's not, just the information alone won't work, because what will happen if you just have good information, you'll apply that, but then you're going to stop working for the day, and you're going to go down into your living room, you're going to sit on the couch, and then you're going to turn on the TV, and the TV is going to start flashing colors at you, and you're going to watch Game of Thrones and all this other stuff, and unaware of how that's programming you. And then you're also going to start talking to the rest of your family or your friends, and they're going to ask you what you've been doing, and you're going to say, oh, I've been working on my new business, and they're going to be like, what, Dave, you're starting a business? You serious, mate? You sure you're not getting your hopes up too much? Like, this is what people do. People are pretty crazy. Like, your friends and society and your family and everyone around you has only seen you as you are. They only know you as you exist right now. And so if you tell them that you are wanting to do something awesome and something amazing, then they're going to doubt you. They're going to question you, and they're going to make you try. They're going to try and pull you back down to their level. Because if you do that, that means that they should do that too, and maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they're too frightened. They're going to try and pull you back down to their level. And so you might have some good information, but then you go into your living room, then you go hang out with your friends, and the community you're around is just going to pull on you. And then you're going to run into some questions, and you're going to have some uncertainties and some issues. And then there's not going to be anyone there to answer those questions. There's not going to be any mentor or any experts to help. And then you're going to self-sabotage in ways you can't possibly imagine. You're going to start, doing irrational things which seem totally contradictory to what you want to achieve. You're going to start being late to meetings. You're going to start spending money on things you knew you shouldn't do. You're going to start, you're going to start waking up late, not being able to get out of bed. You're going to start doing all sorts of things which are very strange because they seem in total contradiction to what you want to do. And you're going to self-sabotage. And any good work you achieve, you're going to end up just breaking it all back down again. And it's going to be a constant battle of building up a wall and then smashing it down, building it up, smashing it down, building it up, smashing it down. And it's never going to get built, and it's going to be painful to see it get half built and then see it get demolished over and over and over again. And so that's all happening in your mind. And, that is what we call like your paradigm. So, a paradigm is it's basically a collection of beliefs and concepts and models and frameworks, and it's all of this conceptual stuff which you glue it all together and you stack it all on top of each other, and that's how you perceive reality. That's how you see things. That's how you think. And that's how you like if you see a situation, that is how you make your decision to react from that situation. And that's a paradigm. And so I've observed when trying to help other people and trying to help myself that you need all four of these things. Like, I've tried to just learn information, and then I've ended up not doing very well. I've ended up breaking that information back down or not being able to apply it. I've had, I've tried to work on mindset, but then I go out with my friends again and they pollute my mindset back to where it was in the first place. And, it seems like no matter what you do, it seems to get smashed back down again. And the important thing that I've learned is, to create change, you need all four of these things. And I've learned and observed, I've put a painful amount of observation into psychology and into society and what makes everyone do what they do, and come up with what I call the perfectly engineered change agent, which is this program. And it is the combination of these four things. Number one is the proven process. So I turned the unknown grey area of how to start a consulting business and turned it into a precise science. And while others use guesswork, we use a predictable, proven process, and we're certain that it's going to make you wealthy. It's not even up to chance. The thing that's up to chance is whether you'll do it or not. So we've got a proven process. The other thing we've got is, number two, is a new paradigm. So I engineered a new way to think and reprogram your mind that is so profound that it's like seeing for the first time. And people say this, like, I see the world differently. Things are different now. My life's changed. So, and I'm not kidding with this stuff. When you go through and you do this and you reprogram your mind and you install this new paradigm which I've created, you're going to see things differently. You're going to behave differently, and you're truly going to become a different person, and for the better. And successful people take lifetimes to build their mental comprehension mechanisms. Like billionaires, if you've ever wondered what makes a billionaire, they think different. They see the world different. What you see as a problem, they see as an opportunity. What you see as a disaster, they see as something else. Like, what you don't see the same things they see. And you definitely don't have the same thoughts that they have. And, people who are really successful, they have these paradigms and these worldviews which are profoundly different than the ones which society has adopted and installed into us. And it is, there hasn't been really a time before where someone has gone out and really given everyone the right, or at least a more right paradigm so that everyone can think properly. And that is what I have done here. I've created this paradigm, and we're able to get it, installed in just a few weeks, really. And most people, it took me my entire life to figure out how to do this, and it takes billionaires their entire lives too. But we literally get you thinking differently. We get you seeing the world differently in just a few weeks. And then we've got our winning community. So it's hard to change your life when you're surrounded by people you've always been with. And all of our students join a worldwide community of people on the same path so that dreams aren't laughed at, but achieved on a daily basis. Like I said, society gives sympathy to people who don't win, and it frowns upon winners, which is really messed up if you think about it. And in my society here, in our group, our community, we only celebrate winners. And people who lose, they've got to choose for themselves to come be a winner. And so you get access to the Facebook group, and you want to start hanging out in the Facebook group. You can still be friends with the people you're friends with. You can still be friends with your parents and your family and all of that. I'm not saying you have to leave them or anything. You don't need to leave them at all. But what you do need is a healthy balance between people who believe that they can win and your family and your friends. Because if you just have your family and your friends, they're going to pull on your beliefs again, and you're going to end up coming back down to their level. And so you need to have a healthy balance. And so always remember that. And most of the time it's not a good idea to talk about your dreams and your business ideas in front of people who aren't in business for themselves, because they will criticize it and they don't have any way to really judge it. How can they judge it? They're not in business themselves. So probably a good idea to ask business questions and talk about your dreams and everything with people who are in our community. And then when it comes to hanging out with your family and stuff and your friends, totally do it, but keep them nice and separate. And that way, you can keep your mind in the right place. And then expert mentorship. So everyone needs advice and help when you're tackling new challenges, but true experts are out of reach for most people. Experts cost a lot of money. I don't even sell my time anymore. So, people routinely offer me $5-6 grand for an hour, and I say no every time. And if you don't believe me, you can try it. So you could email through, and I guarantee $6K for an hour, it's going to get rejected. So I'm not even just making that up. So, people who have really good advice, they're expensive. And most of the time, for most people, experts are out of reach. However, I figured out a way to get expert mentors in touch with ordinary, everyday people, and in a way that, is really economic and works. And that's our Facebook community and our group calls. And so, I jump in the Facebook group, I comment on stuff. I've got millionaire experts and coaches who jump in and they help on there too. And that's the way we can provide expert mentorship to everyone. So this is what I call the perfectly engineered change agent. This is what, at a high level, this is the 4 elements that go into this program which I created. We've got the proven process, the paradigm, the winning community, and the expert mentorship. And as you're going through this process, it's important to remember these 4 things. Remember that one thing on its own isn't going to get you where you want to go. You can't just have the mindset without the process. You can't just have the mindset without the community. You can't just have the community without the mindset. You can't just have the expert mentorship without the process. You need it all. All 4 things are as important as each other. And if you take one out, the whole thing will fall over. So you must keep all 4 at all times. Now, here's an overview of how this program works. Here's kind of the 30,000-foot view of what we're in for over these next few weeks. So in week 1, that's where we are right now. I'm going to teach you natural law and your foundations. So this is, natural law is like the laws of nature. Why do things do what they do? If you throw something up in the air, why does it come back down? what are the rules that this universe operates on? Because you need to understand that if you want to be in control of your life. And so I'm going to teach you natural law. I'm going to teach you your foundations. I'm going to teach you things in here that are obscene. They are not found in this modern day. And I can't even explain how I was able to learn all of these things, but it took a lifetime to figure out all of this stuff. And I had to learn things which are insane, like so much stuff to figure this out. And it's just must have been what I was supposed to do, because I was able to figure it all out. And now that's what this this program is all about. And in week 1, which is this week, I'm going to teach you all about natural law, all about cause and effect, and how you are the person that has hold of the steering wheel in your life, not anyone else. And I'm also going to show you how to set your foundations. So that's like the foundations that your business is going to be built on. So that's like your niche, your offer. Like, what are we going to be? Like, who are we selling to? And then what are we selling to them? And then what message are we using to communicate with these people and show them what we've got for sale? Like, all the basic stuff and all of the things which are critical to building a solid business, we're going to cover in week 1. And it is very important. I think a lot of people think, oh, week 1, it's overview, we just skip it. Not true. You have to do everything in week 1 and put a lot of effort into it. Then in week 2, next week, we will cover the new paradigm and worldview. So here is where I am going to show you a new way to think. And that is pretty rare. It's become pretty rare these days that someone teaches someone how to think. I find that society and everything says that the way we think is right, and we just need more thinking to be able to solve problems. But, I mean, we've had world-leading scientists and experts on the same missions for like 100+ years now, using that old way of thinking, and it still hasn't found a result. So, I've found that the current way of thinking is wrong. And I know that many of the billionaires and everything, we share the same worldviews. I've been able to figure out what theirs are, how they came up with them and everything. And I'm going to teach you that. I'm going to teach you it doesn't matter where you are. You could be broke, you could be in some third world country, and it doesn't matter. I can teach you how to start thinking like a billionaire and seeing the world through new eyes. And that is going to change everything for you. It's going to completely shake up everything. And you're going to learn that obstacles, which you thought were obstacles, aren't obstacles at all. And this is really going to unlock the gates. And then in week 3, I'm going to teach you the alchemy of client conversion. So this is, the science of taking someone from a total stranger to a paying customer in the shortest possible amount of time with the least possible amount of effort possible. And I've worked on this science for a long time, figured out, keyed through all of the different variables, I've tested so many different things, and I've literally found out the science and the psychology behind taking someone from a total stranger to a paying client with like one phone call, no joking. And I'm going to teach that to you in week 3. And that's, we're going to show you the sales script. We're going to show you things to watch out for, how to handle objections. And I'm not talking about sales the way you're used to. I'm talking about this new age of sales, which I've created. It's like sales 2.0. And I'm going to teach you that. And then week 4, the alchemy of client attraction. So this is, how to attract customers to you. So we've taught in week 3 we teach you how to convert them from a stranger into a customer, but then in week 4 I'm going to teach you how to convert them, how to attract them. How to get them to notice you, how to get them to kind of put their hand up, so to speak, so that that is who you want to have a conversation with. Because most people, they look at the world and they think everyone's got their hand up. But they don't. You need a way to sieve through lots of people to find out who is more likely to buy than someone else. And that's what I'm going to teach you in week 4 in the alchemy of client attraction. And I'm going to teach you in here Facebook ads, which is a paid method, and I'm also going to teach you 3 organic methods. So organic methods are things you can do right away, which are free. So you don't have to spend money on ads, you don't have to learn all of this technology, you don't have to do these things which are really complicated or technical. Like in week 4, we're going to focus on things you can do immediately, which are free. And that's what we call the alchemy of client attraction, and that's going to help you get a client real quick. And then in week 5, fractal Facebook evolution. Now, this is I've even questioned whether I should release this here or not, because this is pretty insane stuff. The way everyone has been using Facebook ads is totally wrong. I mean, the way I've purchased the best programs from the best people in the world. I've learned under the best people in the world at Facebook. However, I've realized that they're doing it wrong. And the way people think about Facebook, the way people run ads, the way people do everything with Facebook ads, it's wrong. And there's a new way to look at Facebook, there's a new way to use it that is, it's profound. It's like night and day compared to the old way of doing things. And, and I'm not just saying that, I mean, I've spent millions on Facebook. Sometimes I've spent close to $1 million in a month just on ads. And it makes me millions. I spend millions on it, and I at least spend more money than anyone else I know in this entire industry on ads. And so it comes with some evidence that I say when I say that this is a new way of doing Facebook. And I questioned even putting it in this training, because I was like, well, this might be too damn good to put in here. But I thought, no, that's stupid thinking. Let's just put it in here anyway. And so this is going to be awesome. This is going to change the game for everyone, because once you learn how to, once we've got your foundations set properly, like we understand who we're selling to, what we're selling, and how we're selling it, we understand our message, that's our foundations. Once we have that, once we've reprogrammed our mind to think accurately instead of the wrong way, which is constantly causing us to self-sabotage, then we can take action, and then we can do things to generate appointments, and then we can do things to conduct those appointments and convert the people into clients. I mean, now all of a sudden we've got something to sell, we know who we're selling it to, we know what our message is, so we know what to say, and we're thinking straight, so we're not drunk like most people. And then we are, we're converting them too. And so now we've got a whole system together, which is from start to finish, it's working. And it's all working together, and it's, you're out there, you're doing things, and you're generating clients, you're generating money. That happens just in the training from week 1 to week 4. However, I didn't put this program together just to help someone get 1 client, 2 clients, whatever. I put this program together with no limits in mind. So, with how many results you're going to get. So I want to teach you fractal Facebook evolution is how you can use Facebook ads to become a automated way of really scaling your business. So, once you've figured out how to get week 1 to week 4 together and you're making money, you're getting clients, well, this new way I'm going to show you of doing Facebook ads, it's going to show you how to literally just scale this thing right up. You crank it right up as high as you want. And I've been able to scale my consulting business to more than 100 grand a day. So, that this year we should make over $50 million, which is a lot of money. Next year I plan to make more than 100 million, and I won't even be getting near the limit at 100 million. I'm in for a lot more. And so that's the sort of, to be able to achieve those things, you can't use the traditional model of selling, the traditional model of consulting. You certainly can't use the traditional model of Facebook ads. And so, I've invented this new way of doing Facebook ads, and I'm going to show you how it works and show you how you can put it to work in your business to really scale things further than you ever thought were possible. And then in week 6, I'm going to show you minimum viable service delivery. So once we've got a client, we've got to deliver the value. I mean, we've got to do what we said we're going to do. And we've got to help them create their transformation, or we've got to deliver on the work which we said we would do. And in the traditional way of doing things is hourly. Like, I'm not joking. Literally, most consulting firms still charge per hour. They're like, well, we're $120 per hour. I mean, my legal firms who help me, like, I've got a lot of lawyers that help me with stuff, and in lots of different countries. And they help me, like, we're on retainer, and they send me their bills at the end of each month, and they all just do it hourly. I'm like, this is madness. Like, this is how everyone's charging for things, hourly. If I charged hourly, I'd be in a lot of trouble, because I wouldn't make much money, and I'd be constantly depressed because I just wanted to work all the time, but I couldn't, and I have no control over making more money without having to spend more time. It's just locked. That way of thinking is locking time to money, and when you've locked two things together like that, there's no way out. It's just like being in prison. And so I've created a new model of service delivery, which we call minimum viable service delivery. And I'm going to show you how that works, so that we are only offering the smallest, most simple, most refined, and most repeatable and most systematic service in a way that requires as little of us as possible. So we're looking for a way to deliver services to people where we have to do as little as possible. You know, the way that the current world works, the way that the current school of thought works out there in the world, is that the more stuff you do and the more hours you do for the client, the more money you make. And well, I've gone and flipped those poles and said that time has nothing to do with money. It's all about creating the minimum viable service delivery. It's all about offering that one core essential thing that sets off a chain reaction and causes a massive result for your client. So I'm not talking about how to con your clients here. Like, I don't want you to think, because Sam's saying we should do no work and charge lots of money. I am saying that, but I'm saying you still need to deliver the result. I'm saying your client doesn't care if you do no work but deliver the result that was promised. Your client never cared about how much work you did anyway. All he cared about was the result. And so we're going to play with some different things here, and I'm going to show you how to engineer your own minimum viable service delivery so that you can work as little as possible and make as much as possible with no limits. So it's a pretty profound 6 weeks. Nothing that you learn in these 6 weeks is going to be taught to you anywhere else, because I didn't copy this from anybody else. This isn't, like, I think most of this industry works as someone sees it's what it's something I call monkey see, monkey do. It's like monkey see something happen, monkey do thing, monkey teach other people how to do thing. This is pretty much how the whole industry works, and it's gone and got itself all out of whack. I mean, there's people copying things that aren't even right, and you've probably noticed this now out in society. A lot of things people are saying are right or wrong, and a lot of people are saying something's wrong and it is right. Like, when that sort of chaos starts to happen anywhere in the world, it means that things have gotten out of order. It means that, you know, things are at a tipping point. It means that things have gotten kind of too distorted, and they need to be shaken up and reformed back to what is right. And that has certainly happened with a lot of online education. Certainly happened with a lot of online courses and things out there. I mean, I know because I've bought a lot of them. I know because I hear the voices of all my customers. And, you know, most people are teaching people how to do what they do, and then they learned that from someone, and if you follow the node all the way down to where that person learned it from, the source which they got it from just made it up, and it wasn't even right to begin with. So it's distorted. And so, when you go through this program, everything you learn in here is going to be different. The way I think, the way I have engineered this, every single way of doing things in here is different. And a lot of it contradicts the normal way of doing things. And it's important that you know that I just didn't make this stuff up. I actually figured it out from practice, from actually trying it, and not just trying it, but trying it with a massive amount of people. So I just didn't collect a small amount of data and think, oh, okay, this works. I needed a ton of data, more data than you could possibly imagine. And so, these things work, and even though they're going to contradict things which other people are saying, I can tell you, and I'd bet millions on it, this stuff is going to be more effective. And so, this is going to be a profound 6 weeks for all of you going through this program. And I just encourage you to keep an open mind and do the work, like just one step at a time. It's designed to be 6 weeks for a reason. You're supposed to do week 1, week 2 and week 2, week 3 and week 3, and just walk through one step after the other. Make sure you do the work and make sure you take the action. And then I have thrown in 2 bonuses. Just to say thanks for putting your trust in me and this program. I have put in 2 bonus modules. One is called Week 7, and that's just leveling up to Evolution Stage 2.0 of this new world of consulting. So, you're going to notice very quickly that there's traditional consulting and traditional business, which is the way things have always been done. And then there's this new way of doing business, and this new way of thinking, and this new way of consulting, which I created. And inside this new way of doing things, there's different rules, there's different levels, it's a whole new world to learn, really. And there is multiple stages of evolution for a consultant to go through. And in Accelerator, I'm teaching you level 1. And that's how to really get started. That's how to get your first few clients, and it's really how to go from anywhere from getting started all the way up to about 6 figures with your consulting business. That's about $100,000 a year. And then when you're at that stage, or if you're close to that stage, then you want to look at leveling up to Evolution Stage 2.0, and that in there I'm going to show you some strategies and some tactics on really how to scale things up to the next level, because there's a big difference in thinking to go from $100,000 a year to $100,000 a day. And I did that in 3 years, so that's pretty big. If you put a marketing message out on the internet and you're like, how I went from $100,000 a year to $100,000 a day, most people would just write scam on that ad. Most people write scam on the ads that say they make hardly any money. Someone would definitely write scam on that ad. But, I figured out exactly how to do that. And I'm going to show you all of the thinking and all of the engineering behind making that happen. And that's what we call Evolution Stage 2.0. I'm going to show you that in week 7. And then we're going to have a DM bonus. So this is a digital marketing bonus. And this is going to show you specifics of digital marketing. So throughout this process, I encourage you to pick your own niche. And the reason why I encourage you to do that is because every person is slightly different. And every person, has different passions, tastes, experiences, all sorts of stuff. And it's not always a good idea for everyone to do the same thing. That's how you create distortion. And so, in this program, I don't just say here's the niche, everyone, and here's what we're saying, here's what we're selling. Because after I did that, if I was to do that for a couple of years, then that thing wouldn't work anymore. Because there'd be too many people selling the same thing without any differentiation. And that's how you cause a mutated species. That's how, if you do that with mutations of crops or animals or anything, you'd end up making the thing sick and it would die. And so the same thing happens in business too, is I'm not going to force the evolution of, your guys' businesses. Every single one has to have its piece, which has got you in it, which is unique, in order to create a wide variety of different businesses, wide variety of different species, and to really create innovation in the world instead of just the thinking which has got us into a lot of trouble in the past, which is doing what everyone else is doing and ending up with overcrowded industries, and ended up in businesses that have no differentiation and no profit. And, that's not fun, that's not cool. And so I encourage everyone to pick their own niche. However, I'm also going to show people some things about digital marketing, because I've learned when I went through the different stages of becoming a consultant and everything, I chose digital marketing to be my niche. And there's lots of different niches within digital marketing too, so I'm not, it's not totally jamming it onto one thing, but I'm going to teach you exactly how I got into digital marketing, the things I had to learn, how I was structuring my offers, how I was pricing things, how I was outsourcing work to contractors. I'm going to show you everything I was doing when I got started, so that if you're brand new and totally unable to pick a niche, then you can use this as a fallback plan. And you can use digital marketing and follow in my footsteps and learn what I did and do what I did, so that you can get your start too. But I only want you guys to use this if you absolutely can't come up with a niche on your own. I encourage coming up with a niche on your own first, because I've noticed that the people who pick a unique niche and they have a passion for it and they care for it, they always end up making the most money, having the most fun, and it's like they don't even have any competition. And the people that end up copying a niche off everyone else, they often end up with the least amount of money, the least amount of fun, and the most competition. And so I encourage unique thinking here. I encourage coming up with your own stuff. But if you do need a fallback plan, I will teach you digital marketing and everything as well. And you can still make decent money in digital marketing. Like, you can still make 6 figures, but it sort of starts to get hard to make more than about 400 or 500 grand a year with the digital marketing stuff, just because the marketplace is a bit more crowded. So I do encourage, and I know I'm starting to sound like a robot now, but I do encourage that unique thinking. We want people to have unique businesses, because that's what this world needs. Now, it's all about these 4 key things, really. Like, we're going to learn a whole bunch of different stuff throughout this training, and I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of different things, and your head's going to hurt. But it's really important to just come back and simplify everything down to 4 key things. And, because really, we're doing all of this different stuff, but it all falls within 4 key categories. And these are the categories. Number 1 is solid foundations. You've got to have solid foundations. That is, you've got to have your niche. You've got to figure out the problem that your niche has. You've got to figure out the solution which you're providing, the offer, your message, all of that stuff. Those are your foundations, and you've got to have them set solid. Number 1. Number 2 is your paradigm and your worldview. So you've got to adopt this new way of thinking. The way we have thought in the past as a society has got us to a point where we are stuck, and it's the wrong thinking. And in order to evolve more, we need a different way to think. And I'm going to teach you that new way, which I pioneered, a new way to see the world, and we're going to get that installed, and we're going to get you seeing clearly in week 2. And then in week 3, we're not talking about weeks anymore. We're talking about the 4 most important things. So the second most important thing is the paradigm and the worldview. And then the third most important thing is generating strategy sessions. It's so important that you're just generating strategy sessions every day. You want to be doing something to generate strategy sessions. That needs to be so drilled into your mind that you're doing it every day. And you need to be doing strategy sessions. Not just generating them, you need to be jumping on them, you need to be talking to these people, you need to be improving your process, you need to be thinking, how could I improve, what went wrong, what went right. You need to be doing this every day. And these 4 things together that's all you need. So you want to just remember these 4 things. Every single day, your effort and your attention should be on one of these 4 things or a combination of these 4 things. And if you do that, then there's no way that you can't be successful. You show me someone out there in the world that is doing these 4 things right that isn't rich. And I know that you won't find one. I haven't found a single human in the world that is doing these 4 things who isn't disgustingly rich and very happy. So that is what you need to do. And you want to always keep it simple. So the only thing that should be on your mind is your foundations. Like, who is your target customer? What problem do they have? And how does that affect them? What do they desire? What are the prevailing trends in the market? How can I better solve my customer's problem? How can I help my customer achieve their desires? Your paradigm and worldview. Am I confident in my plan and the future? Are the thoughts that occupy my head during the day constructive or destructive? What are they, and where do these thoughts come from? And what bad habits do I need to break, and what good habits do I need to form? And then generating strategy sessions and closing strategy sessions. What can I do this week, this month, and today to generate 1 new strategy session per day? And once your foundations are in place, this is all that matters. So you just want to be doing these 4 things. And these should be the only things on your mind. If you're thinking about anything that isn't one of these 4 things, it's noise. Block it out. Forget about it. A lot of people are on a ton of different people's email lists. Just unsubscribe from them all. I'm telling you, you don't need anything else other than what's in here to make a lot of money. I mean, you can ask the other people as well. They'll tell you the same thing. So just block out all of the noise. Like, if you're a person that watches TV all the time, stop watching it. If you like watching Game of Thrones, stop watching it. You might think, I don't want to give that up, but you have to give up the things that are noisy and distractive if you want to have a calm mind. You can't be doing a million different things. You want to keep things nice and calm, and you don't want to be listening to too many different messages. Things that I do, I never listen to ads ever. So if I'm in the car and someone has ads on, I have to either turn that radio off or I have to put some earphones in, because I can't listen to that. Can't listen to talkback. I can't listen to the news. Can't read the news. I can't really listen to most people's conversations about things because they're polluted. Like, their worldviews and what they say is not true. And a lot of the time when you get surrounded by that stuff, you start thinking it too. And once you start thinking that way, it's impossible to start thinking the right way and achieve success. So those are the only 4 things you want to have on your mind. And if you find that other things are popping up and getting on your mind, you need to work at getting them out. Like the TV, ads, news. Definitely stop watching the news. That thing has become very harmful. So strategy sessions equal money. So if you want to know, how do some people make so much money as a consultant, and how do other people not make that much money? Well, it's real simple. They just do more strategy sessions. So, this is back from when I was doing 350 grand a month, which was like a year and a bit ago now. And when I was making 350 grand a month, this is what my calendar looked like. And this isn't just made up or Photoshop. Like, I took the screenshot back then when I was at 350 grand a month for the first time ever. So this is what my calendar looked like on a typical day, and you can see all of those different strategy sessions there. It's just back to back to back, like Just boom, 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 boom. Just all packed with high quality conversations with people who are interested in my services. And so if you want to make a lot of money as a consultant, your calendar should look like this. And if you're not making a lot of money as a consultant and you look at your calendar, then it's probably not going to look like this. So it's pretty simple. You know, lots of strategy sessions equals lots of money. You want to keep that in your head. And, you know, here's some testimonials from different students. Like, here's Dave, and he said, had our first $10,000 day today, 18 coaching calls from our list lined up in the next 3 days, pulling for a 40K week. The key, I won't read all of these out to you, but the key thing you're going to notice, the trend across all of these different testimonials, is that they talk about a lot of money and then they talk about a lot of strategy sessions. And it doesn't take a genius to work out that the two are related. You know, lots of money, lots of strategy sessions. Here's Andrew Argue, 21 strategy sessions and 5 sales this week. Okay, the two are related. Lots of strategy sessions, lots of sales. Here's Naomi, 7K month recurring for 12 months. Not a bad deal. That's almost 100 grand from one deal. And she is talking over here on the right-hand side. She says her course is filling up. Doing these high-ticket sales calls can be a real game changer for your business, and I have to thank you for that. So, you know, the reason why she's doing the best month she's ever had is because she's doing a lot of calls. And here's Jeff Samus on the left, and he's doing a lot of sales too because he's making a lot of calls. So, you know, here's Chris Evans. This is back when they were doing 100 grand a month. They're making more than, or they're close to 300 grand a month now. So, you know, how did he achieve this? Strategy sessions. It's that simple. If you want to make a lot of money, you've got to do a lot of strategy sessions. If you want to generate a lot of strategy sessions, then you've got to do a lot of promotions to generate strategy sessions. It's really, really, really simple. So the only 4 things that matter: solid foundations, paradigm and worldview, and generating strategy sessions and doing strategy sessions. It is that simple. And these 4 things are so important that I made you a printout to put on your wall. So I want you to print this one out, and I want you to stick it up on your wall somewhere where you're going to see it every day next to your computer, just to remind you. Because I know that your memory is going to forget. All of our memories forget. Mine forgets things all the time too, and I have to really try hard to remember the things that are important. And you want to keep reminding yourself every day of the only 4 things that matter. You know, your foundations, your paradigm, and your worldview, generating strategy sessions, and doing the strategy sessions. Pin this up on your wall, print it out, make sure you do it right now. Just pause this video, and if you look below this video in the resources section, you will see that it says 4 things print out. Download that, print it out, put it on your wall right now. And you can see the quote below. It says, "You will be tempted to do anything other than the work in closing a sale. Keep it simple and execute on these 4 things daily." That's as simple as it is. If you feel yourself getting pulled in other directions, you know what to do with your inner procrastinator. You just flip it. You just reverse its poles. If it's pulling you towards something, feel where it's pulling you away from and do that. Don't go with it. Don't go with that thing you want. When you feel something pulling, go against it. Now, let's talk about the raw math of achieving your goals. And I like math because, you know, a lot of people think that you set goals and then it's just kind of a fluke or luck, and then goals kind of happen or they don't happen, and you don't know why either way. This is how most people think. It's pretty crazy. But I like to divide it down into some simple math so we can see what's involved for achieving our goals. So this is a spreadsheet, and you can open this on Microsoft Excel, or you can use Google Docs, which is docs.google.com. And you can see there's 2 tabs here. One says recurring revenue metrics, and the other says one-off revenue metrics. And you'll learn what both of these are very soon in this module. In this category, in week 1, we'll have further training on this. But basically, recurring revenue is when you charge a monthly fee and your clients, pay you just that recurring fee every month. So let's say you do digital marketing and you sell, let's say you do Facebook ads for realtors, right? I just made that up. And if you do Facebook ads for realtors and you charge, say, $3,000 a month or $2,000 a month, that's recurring revenue. However, if you have a training program or a coaching program, like let's say it's a 6-week program which you help people for 6 weeks, then that might be a one-off purchase where they pay you, I don't know, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, and then that's one-off, so it doesn't recur month after month. Pretty simple. And so I've created 2 models here so you can play with, whatever your business model ends up being, you can play with them to see, how much money you're going to make over time. So the first thing that we do is we set our starting revenue, which is where we are at right now, and then we basically set our targets. And so, pretty simple. Let's say right now I'm making $0 a month. I'm starting from the very beginning. And let's say that I want to add $3,000 a month in new recurring revenue each month. And I can use this model. So if I plug in $3,000 here, over here it says clients needed is 2. And this is using a $1,500 per month average for a client. If you're charging more, then you can change this around. But I recommend for people just getting started, $1,500 a month is $1,500 a month is a good price to really get started with. I don't think it should be any less, and it definitely can be more if you feel confident. But if you're someone who's not confident charging any more than $1,500, then start at $1,500. And so in order to make $3,000 a month, we need to get 2 more clients. And strategy sessions needed, and this is using a 1 in 4 conversion rate. So a 25% conversion rate. That means I need to do 8 strategy sessions in order to make $3,000 a month. So that is 8 strategy sessions will get me 2 clients, which will make me $3,000 a month. And then if we divide that by days, judging by how many days there are in a month, that tells me how many strategy sessions I need to do per day. And it's coming up here with 0.4. So that's less than 1 a day. That's like less than 1 every second. That's less than 1 every second day. So if you were to do a strategy session every second day, and if you were to close 1 in 4, and if your price was $1,500 a month, and if you were to start from absolute scratch, here's what you'd make over the year. You'd be making $432,000 by the end of the 12 months. You see, it's pretty crazy. I think a lot of people don't do the math to actually figuring out how to achieve their goals. They set a goal, they're like, I want to make 6 figures, and then they wonder why they don't make 6 figures. It's because they never really looked at kind of the mechanics of it. So, if we just stick to something as simple as this, like selling our services at $1,500 a month, doing 8 strategy sessions a month, which is less than 1 every second day, and if we do that consistently over 12 months, we're going to be making $432,000 by the end of the year. And you can play with these numbers. If your business was already, for example, at $20,000 a month, and let's say your new revenue target was $10,000 a month instead of 3, and if we were to extrapolate that out over the whole year, we got 1.7 million. Way bigger, right? So you can play with this. You can play with this stuff, and you can see where your starting position is. You can see what different variables you can plug into the system, and you can see what your end result is going to be at the end of a year, at the end of 6 months, all that sort of stuff. So definitely go in and have a play with these. And then one-off business metrics. Just zoom in a bit. So here, you want to set your program price, and then you want to set your monthly revenue target, and then this will tell you how many strategy sessions or how many clients you need, and how many strategy sessions you need, and then how many that is per day, and then what your annual revenue will be at the end of the year. So you can play with both of these. If you sell both, you can play with the one which it relates to your business model. Totally up to you, but right now what you definitely want to do is you want to start thinking about your goals. First of all, how much money are you making right now? We've got to get crystal clear on that. Write that down. And then you want to think, well, how much money do I want to be making at the end of the year? And you really want to give that some thought. Don't just say the first thing that pops into your mind. Don't ask your uncle or your friend how much he thinks you should make. Figure that out for yourself. How much do you want? And then play with these models and figure out what is involved to get there. Because when you look at where you want to go and then you look at where you are now, this thing will tell you what's involved each step of the way so that you can get there. And it's a very powerful, very simple little model. So definitely take the time to do that. And that pretty much brings us to the end of this introductory video. I know it was pretty long, but it's a really important video because I really need to tell you how this thing is different. If I don't tell you how this thing is different at this crucial first point of the program, then it's your mind's probably not going to be open to the different things which I'm going to say and the different things which we're going to be learning. And you need to understand exactly how I came up with all of this stuff. I just didn't sit down in front of my computer and make some stuff up so that I could sell it on the internet and make money. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people make a program purely so that they can make money themselves, and they rush it. They make it in 2 days, and it's not tested, not proven, and they have little thought or care for the results that the people get. And that is not true with my one. With my one, the most important thing is the results the people get. Not the, I'm not trying to make people feel good with my training, because I know that if I make people feel good in the short term, then I'd just sugarcoat everything and I would just tell them some nice things. But I know that they'll feel good in the short term, but in the long term, they won't feel good. And I know that in order to have long-term happiness, long-term success, then the things which we have to go through now, are a little bit challenging and push you outside of your comfort zone a bit. So I just want you to understand how this training was put together. It's my life's work. It's taken me my entire life to figure all this stuff out, and I've rebuilt this program more times. Well, it's not more times than I can count, but we're probably up at 15, 16 times. I have rebuilt this program and really thought about this with a disturbing amount of thought to figure out how I can create as much positive change as I possibly can. And so it's really important that you keep an open mind to this stuff and that you follow this process step by step, one video after the other. And if you need to get support anywhere throughout your journey, use the search feature first. Check the content. Most things are covered in the content. Go to our Facebook group. Use the weekly Q&A calls. Use our help center. There is tons of places to get help, and use these first before submitting a support ticket, because if it's way faster, way easier, way better for you if you if you solve your own problem instead of having to ask our customer support, which there will be a small delay in them reading it and replying back. And this program is the absolute real deal, and there is no other program out there with results anywhere close to this. Not even 10 times less. So we're talking about a literal night and day difference. And this process is proven, and all you need to do is do the work. That's it. Follow the process one step after the other, do the work, and you're going to be good. And make sure that you avoid the failure uniform at all costs. Understand the failure uniform, Understand what that person looks like. Make sure that you are not that person. And the only 4 things that matter and the raw math to achieving your goals. So we covered those 4 things. Make sure you really internalize that. Make sure you print that out and put it on your wall next to your computer. Definitely print that out and put it on your wall next to your computer, because I guarantee you that by next Wednesday, you are going to have forgotten those 4 things. Our memory is like a sieve, and I'm not just saying that about yours, it's about all of ours. Our memories are very, very, very inaccurate, and we need reminders of things that are important. And those 4 things are important. So you want to print it out right now, stick it on your wall, and let's keep things simple, and let's make sure that we keep you on track the whole time throughout this program. So that pretty much wraps up this first introductory video. I want to thank you for choosing to invest in yourself through this program. It's an amazing decision. You're going to definitely appreciate the results once you go through all of this stuff, and it was a very wise decision. And I'm really looking forward to working with you throughout this whole program to implement everything and to really bring about some awesome exponential change. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the other video right now.